Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be talking about some of the pros and cons of living in Tucson, Arizona. Now, if you're looking to relocate here or if you already live here, it's good to get a local's perspective on why people either really love living here, why they don't love living here, or if you can really find that happy medium. If some of those cons aren't necessarily a deal breaker for you, this might be the perfect place. So let's go ahead and get into the video. Up first, for pro number one is the sunny days. Now, on average, Tucson has over 350 days of sunshine. And of course, that doesn't mean there isn't cloudy days or rainy days, but on average, we have a lot of sunshine. Now, I think that's a huge pro, and so many people who end up moving here or already live here absolutely love that. And of course, that's because you get your vitamin D. Typically, it helps you be a more happy, healthier person, but then also just the unlimited amount of things that there are to do here in the outdoors. So it's a huge outdoor enthusiastic community. So hiking, biking, golfing, outdoor yoga, all of that stuff, and that's all because it's able to do so with the sunny days. And especially that leads into just amazing weather here. Of course, we do have our hot season, but you know, our winters are very, very mild. So a lot of the times you will see people who are in Tucson and it's November, December, even January, they're still wearing shorts. A lot of guys are wearing shorts. So it's just more leading into that mild weather, sunshine days. It makes it a really happy, nice place. Con number one. Now, I touched a little bit on the subject in pro number one with the hot seasons. Now, I think that some people do find this a con just because a lot of people aren't used to our hot season. Now, that's gonna really be between end of May, and it can get well into mid-September or so, and then it starts slowly cooling off. Our really hot months are going to be June and July, more so June, because that's when you're really starting to get into the 110, maybe 112 degree weather, and it's more so of a buildup because July is where we see more of our monsoon season. So June, it is just this buildup of stuffiness, and the heat is building, so it can be a little overwhelming for someone who isn't used to this dry heat. Now, of course, it's great because we don't have humidity, and so if it were 110 degrees with 90% humidity, I can't even imagine how awful that would be. I've had some clients that moved here from Florida and they say, hey, we'll take the dry heat over the heat and humidity any day. But if you're not used to it, it is something that you have to prepare for. Obviously, you definitely need to be staying hydrated and making sure that you are in the desert. So you're going to be feeling dry. You're going to be needing a lot more water than what you're used to drinking, just so that you don't get dehydrated, you don't have any dizziness and have any like heat stroke or anything like that, because it definitely does happen, especially in the really hot months. Our days are definitely longer during the summer, but that's like everywhere else. So this heat is going to be from, you know, when the sun comes up, so probably around 5:30, and it starts getting and cooking hotter throughout the day, and then until the sun goes down around 8 p.m. So it's still pretty hot throughout the entire day, but it does cool off obviously as the sun goes down. So something that you'll need to get used to or just be okay with if you are moving here. Now again, it's really that June month that I think is the worst month. It's the hottest month, and I've lived here my entire life. So it's something that you'll just have to get used to or just live with. Make sure you're hydrating, wearing your sunscreen, preparing for the heat, but it's livable, way better than the humidity, so I think it's a great option. But if you are looking to relocate, I did want to also say before we move on to the next one, make sure you screenshot this number that's coming up on the screen and give me a call, text, or email if you are looking to move here. I'd love to set up a one-on-one call with you or a Zoom call, get to know you a little bit and help you with your real estate needs. I am licensed as well, so I would be more than happy to help you. Now, let's get into the next one. Pro number two, we have the food scene. I think Tucson has such an amazing food scene. There's so much to offer here and so many different cultures, cuisines, and just such a wide array of things and to eat and to try, which is really cool because I think a lot of what people think of when they think of Tucson is our amazing Mexican food, which absolutely, I think we have some of the best Mexican food in the Southwest and close to Mexico. But we have so many different options. There's Thai, there is Brazilian, there is African, there's almost everything you can think of. There is a place here in town. And Tucson is also known as a city of gastronomy, which is this really awesome award, which it celebrates the culture and using the different indigenous roots to the city. So it's a really great honor to have that, and it also just really explains and shows what a wide variety of food we have here in town. Now, of course, I think there's some fan favorites, and especially there's a site and a local group here in town called Tucson Foodie, and they absolutely display some of the best restaurants throughout town. And one of the best things is, I think, with Tucson is we are such a big supporter of supporting local. So majority of these restaurants, actually all of the restaurants on this list, is all local places here in town. And of course we do have franchises and chain restaurants, which of course those are always great, but it's such a great option that if you're visiting here, there's so many amazing local restaurants. And I'll list the link down below for Tucson Foodie. It's definitely such a great option if you are looking to visit here, to just go down the list, and while you're here for a few days, try some of those amazing food options and just some of the culinary delights that we do have here. It's a really cool option, and there's so much to choose from. You'll be really surprised at all of the amazing cultures that are celebrated here in town. Con number 2, we have the lack of nightlife. Now, for some people, they could absolutely care less, but I think if someone is moving from a bigger city and they're used to more of that fast-paced life, Tucson really isn't necessarily that speed. Now, there is a lot of fun things to do here and a lot of options for an evening out, or if you are going out on the weekends. But if you're used to something like Scottsdale and Old Town Scottsdale with all of the clubs, it's definitely not really like that. There are some great clubs here in town, but it's all along the strip in downtown Tucson on Congress, or of course we have 4th Avenue or University Boulevard, but it's really more so within that mile-and-a-half radius of things to do for nightlife. And sometimes it's not really everyone's cup of tea. We do have amazing breweries, so if you're looking for beer and more of a tap room, and then of course we also have some amazing wine houses as well. So if you're looking more for tasting and stuff like that, that's more so I think what Tucson is really great about, not really that high life, nightlife scene. Of course, you can get a little taste of it if you go in that little area, but if that's something you're really looking for and looking for that fast-paced nightlife, I wouldn't really say this is the place. We are more of a slower paced town, so you'll find it in that mile-and-a-half radius, but if you go outward, things definitely close a little bit earlier. I think on the weekends you can find bars, they'll stay open until 2 a.m., but you're really not gonna find that in the outer parts of town. It's gonna be more in that downtown 4th Avenue University area. And trust me, it's a lot of fun. I think especially during when it's football and basketball season, it's very busy, a lot of action and everything, but if you're looking for that nightlife like you're used to in either Phoenix or LA or even San Diego, not really gonna find it here. But again, if it's not really your cup of tea, then you have really nothing to worry about. Up next for pro number 3, we have affordability. Now, I think that this goes across the board, is that it's all by perspective, where you're living now or what you're used to. I think Tucson is a super affordable city to live in. Now, of course, the past few years, prices in general across the United States have gone up. So I get it, I see your comments sometimes, I get it. It's expensive to live kind of in general at this time, but Tucson in general, the affordability to buy a house and to live here, it's definitely very affordable compared to outside places like San Diego, Phoenix, Seattle, even Portland. So I think it's something to really take into consideration, just your day-to-day living. Now, as of April, so as of last month, the median sales home price for Tucson was $370. Now, I know if you were to get that in California, I don't think you can get that. You'd probably get like a very small studio apartment, but that was the median sales price. So I think that's great. You can get a great starter home, you can get a great home for well under $400,000, and of course it goes up from there. But overall, the day-to-day living, the cost of living, it's way more affordable. And I also did a video on the actual cost of living here in Tucson for 2024. So take a look at that. It kind of gives you an idea of comparing it to bigger towns or similar towns of where people are, either looking at Tucson or San Diego, Scottsdale, Portland, all of those places, and what it would cost to live there and what you would have to get or make to live in those places. And Tucson is well below the national average, so it's something to take into consideration when you're moving here. Your daily life, if you were to have a 1-bedroom apartment in San Diego, it'd probably cost you around $2,400 a month, compared to here. If you were to do that, you could be in a full house. So the affordability, I think it's definitely a huge pro. Con number 3, we have the homeless population. Now, again, this is something that has increased dramatically over the past few years, I think throughout the United States, but it is something that I've noticed, and I think a lot of people who live here in Tucson have noticed. It has gone up drastically over the past few years, and it's really sad. I think it's definitely something that needs to get a good handle on. But one thing I am noticing is that a lot of the homeless population, you're seeing it more in high traffic areas and more certain select spots. So of course, I'm noticing it more in the city limits, definitely along the Riverwalk, which is unfortunate, but it's kind of the main hub of transportation or getting around town. So a lot of that I'm seeing, the foot traffic where you would have more high foot traffic, is where you're gonna see a little bit more homeless. Anything outside of the city limits, you're going to really not see any of it, just because it's further away from things, and also too, Pima County is way more strict with their homeless, and the sheriff's department, they really monitor. They're not going to really be putting up with panhandling. So really outside of city limits within Pima County, you don't see homeless foot traffic at all. So really in city limits, that's where you're seeing a lot of the begging and all of the homeless population. But Tucson, the city of Tucson is doing a program where they are trying to help the homeless population and help clean it up. And if you start seeing the encampments pop up, there's a number to call, and they start kind of cleaning up that area and helping to place them into better places. So hopefully, within the next few years, it does start to get handled a little bit better. But I do think it is a con because, it's unfortunate to be around and it's sad. So I think that is definitely a con, but again, that is going to be more in your city limit area. So if you are looking a little bit outside, it's not something you really have to deal with or really be concerned with. Okay, pro number 4, and now I'm actually going to combine this because it is such like a 50-50 vote on this with a lot of people that it's either a pro or it's a con, but it's going to be that Tucson is a very slow-paced town. And I think for me, myself, I actually really like it. I don't want to be in that high city action life with, a lot going on. Of course, I don't want to be absolutely bored, but I don't want to be living in a big city like Phoenix or Los Angeles or anything like that. There's a lot of different things that come along with that high city price tag. But Tucson, I think that it definitely gets either a really good reputation for it or some people can't stand it. With the pros, I think the good thing is that there is a lot more of a community base here because of it. And I think that, with the University of Arizona and some of our other big major, job market places like Raytheon and the Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, it definitely brings a different style of people that come and are either here part of the year, like the students, or people who are here full time. But I think it's a great community lifestyle. I think that it really holds true to, supporting local, and a lot of people that either live here or who move here, they really love being in that local community base. Your farmers markets, your restaurants, the activities to do. It's a very supportive community, and I think that they really embrace that slower pace, and that leads into just being a community-based town. Now, as a con, some people might find that it's boring and there's nothing to do here, but I think it's a lot of people that are looking to be living a more action lifestyle and having more to do on the weekends or late at night or anything like that. And that's not really something that is offered tremendously here in town. Now, we did talk a little bit about the nightlife, and of course there is options of things to do here. If you're wanting to go have a fun night out with your friends, yes, of course you can do that. Or after tailgating or anything like that, of course, we have bars, we have restaurants, we have some nightclubs, but it's not going to be something comparable to Los Angeles or Scottsdale or anything along those lines. So if you're more into doing more of the slower paced lifestyle, more wellness, more community-based activities, so movies at the park, farmers markets, going golfing, hiking, biking, doing more of those things, I definitely think it's a really great option. But if you're looking for more of a higher paced city lifestyle, it's definitely not the place for you. All right, pro number 5, we have the job growth here in the job market. Now, Tucson is really well known in their job market, and I think one of the big pros is the options for healthcare. We have the military, so Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, and with healthcare, there's Banner Health, TMC, a few other hospitals. So it's definitely a very big market for that. And also, again, a few of the other big job markets would be Raytheon, so for engineering, and then also the University of Arizona. And that provides so many different roles and job opportunities, whether you're a professor or whether you're working at the bookstore or working just, within the community of the University of Arizona. There's so many different titles and roles, and one of the biggest job options there. We also do have Honeywell that moved here, and a few other bigger companies like the Amazon Fulfillment Center that also came here a few years ago. So there is a lot of job growth and opportunity within the city, and it is definitely something I've seen grow massively over the last, I want to say, 5 to 7 years. So it's been definitely a really huge pro, I think, for the community, also for the city, for a lot of these bigger companies that are moving here. Besides the job growth, it also just creates more opportunity and more development for the town in general. So again, I talked about being a slower pace, but it brings more movement to the city, and it brings more liveliness, and it brings more opportunity for other developers and other, big company owners that want to come and move here, because it does also play into the role of affordability. If someone who is, running a massive company, they're looking to move either between Tucson or Denver, a lot of the times I would assume they're going to be choosing Tucson because it is so much cheaper to grow out a business here. So I think that's a huge pro in general for the city, and also if you're looking for just job opportunity. All right, last up we have con number 5, and this kind of goes with the last one we talked about with the last pro, and it is the job market. And I think that when someone is moving here from a bigger city, they are going to find it a little bit more niche and limited in the job market. Now, if you are in a more specialized field that there's bigger opportunities in bigger cities, you're not going to really find that here. And it's going to be more competitive, I think, because if it is a role that is of certain amount, it's going to be more competitive because Tucson is a smaller city, so there's not going to be those massive wide opportunities that you might get in a bigger city. Now, not saying that there isn't a lot of movement coming here, because there is a lot of companies that are slowly moving here or have moved here in the past few years, so it is expanding that job market entirely. So it's really, you have to really do your research, weigh your pros and cons on if it's worth it, if it's really that job title you're going to be sticking with. If it's not offered here, then that's kind of more so probably for a bigger city. And then also I think with the job market, that goes with the development of the town. Now, Tucson takes a little bit longer to kind of get in the role of bringing bigger and better things, but it is slowly moving in that direction. So I think it's something to kind of keep an eye on if you are looking to move here, and let's say your job opportunity isn't necessarily open here, it might be in the near future. Well, that wraps up the video. I hope this was helpful for you if you are looking to move here or if you live here already and just looking for, some pros and cons about the place that you live or where you're going to choose to live. And I think it's so important if you are looking to move here to be doing your research, because I think that a lot of times, there's kind of that like cloudy haze over a place where you're looking to live and you're not really getting a local deep dive perspective of the certain things, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of that. So it's always good to make sure that you do your research when you're looking to move somewhere. And also, I think it's very helpful to have someone who was born and raised a local here to help guide you through the process that can help narrow out what you like, what you don't like, and where would be a great fit for you to live within the community. So with that being said, if you are looking to move here or if you already live here, I'd love to help you. You can always set up a one-on-one call with me or a Zoom call. I'll leave my contact information below, but I'd love to set that up with you. You can text, call, or email me. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.